ever feel that pressure, to make the right call when everything's on the line? Like, imagine that feeling, but like, multiply it by 1,000. Millions of dollars. A championship title, all hanging in the balance. That's the daily reality in the world of Formula One racing, right? But what if I told you the real strategic mastermind isn't the one behind the wheel? That's where our deep dive takes a turn. Today we're joined by an expert, someone who uses the fast-paced world of F1 to unlock, well, kind of surprising leadership lessons. And get this, he even ties it all back to, wait for it, product management.
Yeah, that's right. And our guide on this journey, it's Dr. Jareau Almeyda. And what's so, captivating about his approach is how he connects these seemingly different worlds, the precision of F1 and the strategic demands of, running a business.
And his journey to get here, let me tell you, anything but ordinary. Dr. Almeyda was actually in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Talk about a life-altering experience, one that puts leadership under pressure into perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, experiencing something so profound and then dedicating your career to understanding team dynamics, resilience.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes. But let's get into this F1 analogy, yeah? Because it's seriously insightful. Dr. Almeyda, he makes this compelling comparison. A product manager is like an F1 race engineer.
Okay, I'll admit, at first glance, those roles seem, well, miles apart. You've got someone covered in grease working on a high-powered machine, and then you've got someone, behind a laptop navigating the digital world. How do they even compare?
That's where it gets interesting. It's not about the surface level differences, but the core responsibilities they share. See, neither the race engineer nor the product manager is the one physically driving the car or building the product. Their genius, it's in their decisions, which are, absolutely critical to success.
So it's less about being a lone genius and more about, orchestrating a complex operation with a ton of moving pieces?
Exactly. Think of the race engineer like a conductor, but instead of an orchestra, they're managing data, they're monitoring competitors, even navigating their driver's emotions, in the heat of the moment. Remember that fiery exchange between Verstappen and his engineer this year? Verstappen's demanding to know if both cars are executing, a specific maneuver. And the engineer, he has to skillfully wrangle him back in, reminding him, hey, focus on our strategy, our race to win.
Those snippets of radio chatter during the races, it's like gold. You get a glimpse into the pressure cooker they're operating under.
Okay.
And you're right, those exchanges, they really highlight the contrasting personalities, right?
Yeah.
And the communication styles at play. Compare Verstappen and his engineer, kind of tense dynamic, to Lewis Hamilton and his longtime race engineer, Peter Bonington. They're like a well-oiled machine, completely in sync.
And those contrasting styles, they offer valuable lessons for any leader, right? You see, Verstappen's direct, no-nonsense approach, that might be perfect for a decisive leader, one who needs to make those split-second calls. But Hamilton's more collaborative style, his close bond with Bonington, who he considers like a brother, it highlights the power of trust, understanding in a high-pressure environment. Ultimately, a successful race engineer, and by extension a product manager, they've got to adapt their approach to get the best out of their team, recognizing there's no one-size-fits-all.
And that adaptability, right? Being able to read the room, adjust your leadership style to suit different personalities, different situations, that's crucial anywhere, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like that saying, the only constant is change. And that is especially true in the business world.
He was practically inventing social networking before Zuckerberg.
Exactly. Yeah. But it speaks to his entrepreneurial spirit. That understanding of how to connect with people, create something new in a world that's always changing. And that mindset, that ability to embrace change, navigate the unknown, that's gold for a product manager. You're not just managing a product, you're championing it, nurturing it from idea to launch and beyond.
It's like captaining a ship, right? Plotting a course through uncharted waters with all the storms, the shifting tides, You got to know when to trust your gut, when to rely on your crew, when to change course entirely.
Let's take a quick break. Want to equip your child with the skills of top global consultants? Don't let them fall behind. Raising Tomorrow's Leaders, The Consultant's Mindset by Dr. Jareau Almeyda is your guide to fostering essential skills in your children for their lifelong success. Available now on Amazon. Okay, welcome back.
Speaking of navigating challenges, Dr. Almeyda's own experience, especially with 9/11, really underscores resilience, don't you think?
Absolutely. And not just personal resilience, but how to cultivate that within a team.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, setbacks, they're inevitable in work, in life. How we face those moments, how we emerge stronger, that's the question.
It is. And I think it's something a lot of our listeners can relate to, even if they haven't, experienced something as traumatic as 9/11. We all have those curveballs. So how do we build that resilience? How do we create a work environment where people feel supported, empowered to weather those storms and come out, swinging?
For me, it always comes back to communication. Open, honest, vulnerable communication. Creating a space where it's safe to say, hey, I messed up or I need help. That's where the magic happens. That's where growth, innovation, all of it can flourish.
And a good dose of empathy goes a long way too, right? We're all human. We've all got stuff going on behind the scenes. That impacts how we show up at work, in our relationships, everything.
100%. And that human-centric approach, it's something Dr. Almeyda really emphasizes. Recognizing that we're interconnected, that understanding that we're all in this together, that's powerful no matter what your job is.
Yeah. It's like in those F1 races, right? When there's a sudden crash, mechanical failure, something that throws everyone into high gear, you see the mechanics, the engineers, the whole team springing into action, perfectly in sync. It's not because they're robots, programmed for efficiency. It's because they've built that trust, that shared understanding that we win and lose together.
And that's such a powerful analogy for any team, any organization, really. Success isn't a solo act. It's a team sport. It's about harnessing that energy, that shared vision, and navigating those bumps in the road with, grace and determination.
And that's where Dr. Almeyda leaves us with this really thought-provoking question. How's your relationship with your race engineer? Now, I know what you might be thinking, like most of us, we don't have an actual race engineer in our corner, like someone feeding us strategies and keeping us on track. But that's the beauty of the question, right?
Yeah, it really makes you stop and think.
It does. It makes you look around and ask yourself, who are my trusted advisors? My mentors, my sounding boards. Who are my champions? Who helps me navigate my own career race? Whether that's, I don't know, going for a promotion or launching a project or even just trying to be better,
Exactly. And sometimes those race engineers, they might not have the fancy titles or even all the answers, right? But they offer something just as important.
They offer that listening ear, a fresh perspective, a little encouragement when you need it. Dr. Almeyda's question, it reminds us that leadership isn't about having it all figured out. It's about having a team you can trust, people who will challenge you, support you, and celebrate with you.
It's about realizing that even though you're in the driver's seat of your own career, you don't have to go it alone.
Right.
You could build your own pit crew.
Exactly. And that brings us back to this whole idea of smooth operation that we talked about. It's not just about spreadsheets and deadlines. It's about those relationships, that trust, building an environment where everyone feels valued.
Because when you've got that foundation, when everyone's working together towards that shared goal, that's when the magic really happens. Just like in Formula One, a perfectly timed pit stop, it can mean winning or losing the whole race.
And it's understanding that every single person on the team, from the strategist crunching numbers to the mechanic with the wrench, they're all vital to success.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this world of Formula One and its surprising leadership lessons, the message is pretty clear. Success isn't a solo sport. It's about teamwork, trust, and recognizing those race engineers we have in our lives, the ones who help us navigate all the twists and turns. Who are those people for you? Take a second, think about them, maybe even reach out, say thank you, because just like in a high-stakes race, a little gratitude, that can be the fuel that gets us all across the finish line.